That's a big one. Big one. Great big one. I mean, exploded it.
Drilling at 30 yards with a recurve, dude.
So before this video started, I wanted to give a season update. This is mainly for everyone that's been following. I know a lot of y'all will be here that'll be new for the bow review that I'm doing today in this video. I started to make 2 separate videos on this, but heck with it, I'm just gonna make one. Just try to make it short and sweet. I'm just gonna explain a little bit of what happened this bow season leading up to now. So for everyone out there that don't want to sit through this first part, I'll just timestamp it right now, and that right there would be, you know, when the bow review starts. But I guess I'll go back to the first day of bow season. I went in on a Saturday morning. I sat in a climber, self-climber. I didn't want to hang a stand in this spot. I was more or less testing it out. Had 2 does come in at like 8:15 in the morning that morning. In a self-climber, you got a railing, goes out and around you. I went to drop that thing down. I thought I had got it down low enough, but I didn't. If I'm shooting straight out, it was good, which is where I thought I was going to be taking a shot. But by the time I had gotten position, the deer had already made it to the corn pile. So now I'm shooting at a downhill angle like this with the bow. And when I shoot, the limb hits that railing. When I got down and got the arrow, I can tell that I got shot her right away. And so I eased out there. I give her 9 hours, went back that afternoon, you know, right before dark. I just eased down through that thicket and was just easing. I couldn't find no blood. I mean, from the shot of impact all the way to where she was laying down, I could not find blood. And when I got down just over the bank, she bolted. I mean, just jumped up, bang, and just took off 100. I gave her about a half hour, and I started sneaking and trying to look for her, but there was no blood to follow. I mean, I was on hands and knees looking, and I mean, literally none. For 8 hours straight, it was like if I filled the bottom of this cup up and dumped it. That was all the blood that was on the ground where she had been bedded, so. I'm sure she made a full recovery. I had went back the next morning looking for her again. I couldn't find her, so I went hunting that next evening, and I had a shooter buck come down. Still only have this deer on camera as of right now. This is the first and last encounter I've ever had with this deer. I went to the oak trees. If y'all watched the squirrel video where I filmed that buck, where I first jumped him, I went to them oak trees. Had 2 bucks come in that night. He was coming all the way around the ridge, long story short, almost gave me a shot. I got him on film coming. And then the other buck had turned around and went back the other way. He had just fed like this way, this one was coming this way. This one turned and looked back, seemed that the other one wasn't following him, so he turned around. Then went back around the ridge. It was that next week I went out and I had a doe come in. She came right up to the corn and I was eating, you know, and I said, well, I'm gonna let her go. I'm not gonna shoot her. I'm chilling, I move my boot, it hits my bow falls into the net, and the deer freaks out and takes off running, starts snorting, blowing. Now she's like out of my range. She's 25, 30 yards away. Kinda just out of my comfort zone. So I was like, I'm not gonna shoot her. I just sat there and watched her. She turns and blows out of there and runs. Then a few days after that, I went in on the evening hunt, had a bunch come in, they spooked immediately. Then the next day, did the same thing. They came, seen me, spooked, boom, bolted. It was like, I'm gonna guess it was the same exact doe, and she was always the lead one that would come. There would be a few deer, and she would be the lead one. Every time she would get up there, she'd see me bolt, boom, snort, and all the deer would bolt. So what I did is I moved the blind just a hair over from that spot, and then it would have been I give it a day, and then I went back like the next day. Sort of something like that timeline, who knows. And then that particular evening, I had a pile of deer coming. I mean, they were coming in from the bank above me, and I could see them coming down out of this bottom, and they're all coming to the corn. Well, guess what? The big doe's with them. She immediately comes up, spots me in a new spot, snorts, blows, stomps, takes off, and then all the deer scatter. All these ones up here, I never did hear them running at this point. They were just all kind of standing around up there. I could just hear them. I never could see. There could have been 2 deer up there as far as I know, but there was definitely deer up there. I could hear them walking through the leaves. They all scatter, and throughout all the chaos, I look, and here comes another doe. She had ran down the trail. I watched her go down. She came out in front of me, almost in range. I stood up at this point. I thought I was gonna get a shot on her, but I didn't. She went down. About that time, she turns, she comes back up, snorting, stomping, blowing. Comes all the way up and around. Well, it was a button buck, but you know what I mean? At the time, I could not tell that it was a button buck. I thought it was a doe. I shot it for a doe, and it ended up being a button buck. But it came up and around, and then started coming straight up to the corn. The whole time, I mean, it's so unbelievable, man. I mean, I'm standing up in a wide open behind me. I made the spot to sit down and shoot, but I had stood up because there was some brush. When it come around this way, I'd stood up because there's brush right here. So I could shoot it right here when it was going through that brush. It was so perfect in a way, but unbelievable, because this deer was literally at 20 and just slowly making its way, just stomping, snorting at me, stomping, coming closer, snorting, stomping. Finally, it gets right up to the corn pile, right into my range, like 15 yards facing me. And I'm like, it's now or never. This deer's gonna spook at any time. So I just draw, boom, and the arrow looks like he ducks, but the arrow looks perfect when it hits him. Just blow, exactly what I thought right here. He does a complete backflip and falls over. Never moves, I mean, just kicks here and there, but that's it. Like, it just folded him. I went ahead and grabbed another arrow, because at this point I wasn't, you know, as a frontal shot, I said I better make sure it's down. So I got up and moved out to it, and like I say, it was done by then, but it was sticking about 4 inches high of the center of his chest, but it still went straight down through the pipe and cut the top of its heart and both sides of its lungs. I mean, it, especially using, I got one of the Broadheads here. I'll be, in this video, I'll be going over the Broadheads, and this is the exact Broadheads that I used to shoot that deer with. But since then, I've been out 2 times, and I ain't had no luck. I've just here lately, I've just been running cameras, haven't really been hunting, just steady running cameras. So, the next question is definitely going to be, where is the footage? So this video is already 8 minutes long. I spent another about 5 minutes explaining everything in depth, but I'm just going to keep it short and sweet like I told y'all. So what happened was, I had a folder with all the old bow hunting clips. It was bow season 2023. And each one of these clips is very important. They were all named untitled with a number, like Untitled 1, Untitled 2, Untitled 3, etc. I open my editing app, I get in it, I put the video together. It took me an hour and a half, something like that. I got in here, I got it all done. Well, when you export it, it'll give you an option. Do you want to rename it? It will remain untitled. Whatever that very first name is on that first clip you put in there, that's what the name of the thing would be. And it was just pure laziness. I'm never usually like this. I don't know what got into me. I just didn't rename anything. Even the clips, I usually try to keep them in order. I didn't. But long story short, I just hit OK. I didn't retitle it. So it went into the bow season folder. I didn't even move it out of the folder. I usually put them in a separate folder. I just hit OK, and it sucked it right back into that 2023 season. Then I went in, I pulled me a clip, which is our thumbnail, which is the thumbnail y'all see on the video when you clicked on it. That's the deer I killed. I grabbed that thumbnail, went into my recycling bin, got rid of all the clips. When I went back to look for the video, I realized what I had done. So unfortunately, y'all just missed a lot of really good footage of deer and stuff. But with that being said, I'm gonna roll y'all into the range and let's get to shooting this new bow. This is a 60-inch PMZ. It came in at like 117 bucks. It finally came in last week, and I've been shooting it here and there. I'm good enough to hunt with it, but I can still get better with it. But I can definitely keep it within a kill zone of a deer. In my opinion, this is the best all-around bow that you can get for that price range. It comes with an arm guard, a finger tab like this, but just a little bit cheaper brand. Arrows, it comes with I think 6 arrows, I'm wanting to say. String, a knock point, which we're going to be going into a lot of this stuff here in a minute. These string silencers didn't come with it. I put these in myself, or the quiver didn't come with it, but I mean, everything you all see on that screen, on that computer screen right there, that's what it all come with. Say about 118 bucks, 120 bucks out the door, and it's ready to go. I'll tell you guys how to bear shaft tune. This is, like I said, my first bow I've ever bear shaft tuned arrows with, and even if you don't have an arrow cutter, don't worry. I'll show you guys how to get around that, because I personally don't have an arrow cutter. Again, this is a PMZ. So it's a beautiful bow, man. That's, for the price, I love it. I love the feel. It says a 55-pound limbs on it. As y'all can see, this ain't the original string, but I'll go into my setup and I'll let y'all know what I done to it. But stock, it'll come with just a regular string. You have all the tools to tear it down, take it apart. It even comes with a carrying case. That big long tube's a carrying case. You can put the bow in there. It has a section for your arrows, your everything the bow comes with just sets in there. Here's exactly how I have this set up. I have it set up with a D97 fast flight string. This is like otter fur, I think is what it is, river otter maybe, something like that. I ordered it off Amazon. I can't remember the name of it. I tried to find it just now on my phone. But regardless, so, you know, any type of fur would work, but this just looks sweet. I went with the red string to match the riser of the bow. It's red, the limbs are black, you know, and a little bit gray and stuff, but yeah, I figured a red string would look perfect. And then I got these limb silencers right here. I just put them right up through about the top of the notch down where the bow strings are notched in. I put both of them in, and you know, doing all that was the simple part. So pretty much that's the bow there. Like I say, 55-pound limb bow. That's a D97 fast flight string. I think river otter fur on it. This quiver here is I think I got it off Amazon for like 50 bucks. It just snaps onto the thing. I like the quiver. This is okay for the price. It's definitely a good quiver, because all the other ones are like 180 bucks, stuff like that. I didn't want to pay that much. And then I have limb silencers up top to keep the string from smacking off the limb real hard. And then just some felt on the shelf, and other than that, it's pretty much a bare bow. This is the most important part of this whole video here. You know, my last bow setup video I did, I said that I don't ever bear shaft tune nothing. I just go out and hunt with it. I guess I've gotten lucky throughout the years. I have found arrows that are just terrible out of the bow, and then I say, well, it was bad arrows and stuff, but I never understood bear shaft tuning. Then I got this bow, and I said, then when I got this bow, I said, I'm gonna learn bear shaft tuning and arrow. I'll pretty much give you all the easy route. Everyone's always going into the mathematical stuff and all that jazz, but pretty much in order to bear shaft tune this arrow and get this thing to fly perfect, and it might not work for some of you, some people just may have to cut the arrow down using a cutter, but I have a 31-inch draw. This arrow, or I have a 30-inch draw. The arrow's cut to 31. I love my arrow sticking off just a hair on all the bows I shoot, so I didn't want to cut this arrow at all. But before you do these steps, you need to have your target close. I would start out at 5 to 8 yards. Yeah, I mean, you need something to use as a backdrop to stop your arrow. You don't want to be going into your basement and doing this like, okay, I'm just gonna go into my basement and I'm gonna bear shaft tune, because let me tell you something, these arrows are gonna go everywhere, especially when you're playing with the knock height. The first step I did was my knock height. The knock height is what I call it. But I measure my brace height. That's where I took my bow square. I actually forgot that I meant to break it down here for this. I measured from the deepest part of the handle to out here. Okay, my brace height recommendation for this bow is 7.5 inches. So I put it right at 7.5 inches on the brace height, and then I had it set. You know, that was good to go. And then what I did is I took my knocking point that the bow come with right here, and I had the pliers. I bought the pliers and a whole set of knocking points just in case if I messed up. And what you would do is you would shoot. Let me grab a target real quick. I'm gonna explain this a lot better. But in order to get the most accurate reading, your first step you're gonna need is a really tough target. Bag targets don't work. I tried my bag target, it gave me false reading. So I went ahead and bought this little youth block target on Amazon for 40 bucks, something like that. It's cheap, perfect for this, and I can shoot broadheads into it. I was reading perfectly center with this, and I shot the back target and it looked like my arrow was all knock low and stuff like that. So that right there would be like your step one. And then your step two is you have to hold the bow straight up and down, vertical, right here. You gotta have the bow held just like this. Every single time you shoot it, straight up and down like this. You can't have it twisted or nothing like that. It has to be perfectly vertical, up and down, straight. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna shoot. And what we're looking for is for this arrow to fly into this target as straight as possible. In a way, I mean, not straight or whatever. But if the arrow goes in like this, at an upwards angle, when you get up to it and you see that this arrow at the end's kicked up some, that means you're knock high. All bows are different. You're gonna have people on YouTube that's gonna tell you, oh, you shoot knock high, move it knock low, etc. Or move it knock high, something like that. All bows are different. This is when you're gonna have to play around with it. Like for instance, this one I was shooting knock low, I moved it low, and I went even lower. Moved it high, and it fixed it and all that. So, you know, like I say, if you're like this, you know, and knock high, I guess it ain't showing y'all the best, but if you're knock high or whatever, then you'll know, okay, I need to, you know, move my knock point however your bow is. And that could be up or down. Like I say, it don't move it a lot. It's very small measures. So what I did is I barely tightened that knock point around my string, and I would slide it real easy, and I'd just keep shooting as long as it was tight enough to where it wasn't gonna move. And then what I did is I found the sweet spot, and which was perfect. And a lot of people would have just knocked their bow in right then and there, but I said, now I want it even better. So I just kept moving it, which is what you need to do. And when I moved it again, I think I went down with it. I went up all the way and was getting really knock high readings. And then so I went back down all the way, started getting really knock low after I went through the center. So I moved it back until I got that thing hitting perfect. It found its sweet spot. This would be considered as a high knock point on the riser compared to like my bow upstairs has a perfect knock point, and it's pretty much level. This bow likes its knock height to be high. So like I say, you'll shoot and you'll see that the arrow won't be going like this. It'll be either, you know, and don't worry about spine at this point either. Another thing is a lot of people try to jump ahead of themselves. They see their arrow kicking to the left and the right, and they say, well, man, my arrows are out of spine. Let me just go get another one and up the tip on it and all that. You just need to do them one at a time. So that's pretty much your knock high, knock low. When you get that, then you want to move the target out about, I'd say 15 with your bare shaft arrow, by the way, about 15 yards, and you want to shoot. For this one, you're looking for, once again, perfectly straight. You're not caring about the up and down no more. By then you should have your up and down done. So that should be good. But you're left to right. If the arrow's going into the right, that means it's too stiff of an arrow. How you could fix it is you up the weight grain. Let's say I'm running 150 grain broadhead on the front with a 25 grain insert, 175 total up front, and I'm still shooting stiff. And I say, well, I don't want to shoot no 300 grain insert and 100 grain broadhead on there. That's 400 grain up front, you know, whatever. So, you know what you could do would be cut the arrow, or up the, if you, without having to cut it, you can just up your weight. If it's shooting stiff, up the weight. If it's shooting weak, down the weight. And you think it'd be opposite, but it ain't. I mean, it still really don't make sense to me, but once I watch videos on people doing all the mathematical stuff and all that. So let's say, yeah, you know, you got your dozen arrows and they're blown knock right, and you're like, well, that's all I have. That's the biggest broadheads I have. I can't go no higher. You could buy inserts. you know, and heavy inserts, and still use your broadhead, but you'd have a heavier insert in the front. So reality, you're still changing everything up front regardless, unless if you're going to go do your arrow cutting and stuff. And I'd look up videos on that. I personally don't. From every video I hear, they're like it's very, very tricky to do. I'm shooting a 100 grain field tip with a 25 grain insert, and it's shooting, I mean, it's barely, if it's barely off spine, just barely left, not much, you know, then you really don't have to worry about it, because see, your fletchings are going to correct that. And another, like I say, a really important thing, if you're shooting wraps on your arrows, leave them on when you're doing a noctune. You're shooting a luminoc, leave it on when you're doing the arrow tune. Some people out there love to use their broadhead, and this is why these targets right here are nice, because they love the bare shaft tune with their broadhead. I personally didn't. I just used my target tips. And then once again, I'm shooting single bevel broadheads just like this. They're like a single bevel. These are more open. Single bevels usually typically straight in the center, you know, no cutouts in them. But these are what I'm shooting. This is just a practice one. This one's covered in dirt and all that. Yeah, that pretty much sums up bare shaft tuning. There's plenty of videos out there that goes in really in depth, but that's pretty much, you know, the basics. I do an awful lot of talking in these videos, y'all. That's so much editing, and half of it I scrap anyway, but it's always there if I need it, I guess. So I'm gonna run y'all down here at 15. I'm gonna get back here, set y'all up. I forgot my GoPro too. It's upstairs. I wanted to set it on my head. I guess I really wasn't prepared for the videos, I thought, but we'll go down here and just flank some arrows. Kind of sort of zoom you all in down there on the target, and I'm gonna shoot this bare shaft arrow. Has luminox, so it should be kind of easy to see in mid-flight, and let's see how straight it flies down through there. All right, y'all, here we go, 15 yards. Hopefully y'all can see it. I mean, straight as can be. I am shooting at a little downhill angle, so it will appear to be knock high, but like I said, I'm shooting downhill. I'm not level with the target. But the target moved. I gotta go down here and fix it. So I'm gonna shoot her one more time with the bare shot, but I'm actually gonna try to hit the center instead of just shooting it. That was just to kind of let you all maybe even me slow-mo it. Might look like it wobbles left or right. That's just the stiffness of the arrow. Just a hair low of it. A hair low. Boy, it looks like it's way spine high from here, don't it? But I assure you all it ain't. It's exactly where it needs to be. Just where I'm at a downhill angle. Camera's a little bit higher than me too. Here we go. Look at how straight that arrow is. It's beautiful. Here comes the broadhead. Here comes the broadhead, y'all. Dead center, took it out. It's both super silent too. It's super quiet. The only thing I hear is ka-dong, ka-dong. And there it is. So everything's in the kill zone, all besides that bare shaft arrow. I thought about taking one of these hunting arrows, shooting it, but every single one of them's in the kill zone. I love it. As of the bow, like I say, I highly recommend the bow for anyone out there. Like I say, it's a PMZ. I'm gonna shoot a couple straight over my shoulder here. All right, y'all, hopefully, let me check. Yeah, y'all should be able to see me. Now, this is only like 10 yards, but still get the same point. Kind of check and see where the target is. This should be perfect. I'm gonna shoot it from right here. Might be 11 yards. That's about 10. Pretty close. Got the broadhead up first. Let's see how it does. I know my anchor point and where I need to aim to put it dead center like that. Target moved a little bit on me, but she's dead. Dead center. And then here comes the bear shaft. Dead center. And this last shot, yo, I'm gonna go back to 30. Be right back. All right, y'all, 30 yards away. Hopefully you can hear me. Dead center, boy. Dead center. Come on. Is he nasty with it? Maybe I should have shot that doe the other day. Remember the one I told y'all was 30 and I just didn't really feel comfortable? Maybe I should have shot her. What can I say? I'm a bad man with this bow, boy. That's pretty much gonna do it. See there. Beautiful. Another cool thing about the bow is you can get it in really like poundages too. Like I think it goes all the way down to 20-pound limbs on it, and then all the way up to like 70. I don't recommend 70-pound pull. I know I said my grandpa's was 62, which I lied, it was only 40. I read the handle wrong, it was actually 40-pound draw. Like I said, this one's 55, this is my max draw with a recurve. I couldn't hold no 60-some pound bow back for longer than probably 3 seconds. I'd have to snap shoot, and I can't do that. So 55 seems to be my max draw with a recurve. 70's compound for sure. My Matthews was 70-pound draw, and I can jerk that thing back all day. But this 55-pound, I mean, honestly, I kind of wish I had went back to a 40, but I went ahead and just ordered a little heavier limbs, trying to get a little more penetration than what that 40 would. So hopefully y'all learned something from it today. Like I said, I never used to tune my arrows, but since I did, as y'all can see, I'm consistent as can be. I'd take this thing on a 3D archery shoot against compounds any day of the week and feel confident that I'd probably come out top 3 out of all of them, honestly. And I just got the bow. I mean, you imagine after I sat out here for a while shooting this thing, how really good I'd get. But as of right now, I'm keeping it within a kill zone of a deer every single time. So it's good enough for me. I don't need to be, you know, Robin Hooding arrows and stuff. That's usually during the summers what I like to try to do. But during now, I just like to unstring it till it's time to hit the woods, and then I go hunting. But hopefully y'all out there enjoyed it. If y'all did, hit that thumbs up button. Share us with your friends if they're looking into traditional archery. Like I say, I highly recommend the bow. I'm going to link everything down that was in this video in the description box below. Y'all just go down, check everything out if you want to get the same setup as me. I'm even going to put the finger tab, this one. Like I say, it comes with one, but I'd highly recommend getting one of these. This one's starting to get wore in to where I can really feel my string. I mean, I love this thing. This thing's sweet. But I'm going to put this one in the description box too. If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe, and I will be having some bow hunting content coming soon. I ain't going to guarantee I'm going to see another deer this year, but I will have some me sitting around in a tree stand. So with that, I'm your host, Trey, and I'll see you on another episode of Huntfishohio Outdoors. See ya. I got him.